Hey guys, so several of you requested a little video on how I made the kerf cuts on this. I do it with my Festool MFT table and TS55 track saw. This right here, this piece of MDF, is a story stick for the design. We already kind of went through the math in that last video on how I determined my kerf cut spacing for the radius bends. But this is kind of step one, you know. I mill up the piece here, and then I transfer the marks off of my story stick here. So the first thing is I'll mark the end cut. And then I've got 3/4 inch dado marks here for dividers that go in there. I don't transfer those onto here until after I've done my kerf cuts because I screwed up one time and I accidentally started making kerf cuts because of those marks. So right now, all I do is transfer the kerf cut lines, and that way there's less of a chance of me screwing up. Yeah, so that's it. So the narrower spacing here, that's my lower bottom radius that doesn't go as far. And then these wider ones will be my top ones that actually come past 90 degrees. So that's why these are wider. I just mark the start and stop. Technically, you probably really only need the start mark, but I don't feel like an extra line there hurts anything. So after that, it's time to set up to make the kerf cuts. Alright, so we know we need this little block here. This is what we need to make. And it needs to be 0.2356 is the exact thickness that we need. 15/64 is 23 is, we need 0.2356. 15/64 is 0.2343. So we know we want to be just shy of 15/64. For reference, 16/64 would be 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do is, I'm fortunate enough to have a TSLS table saw fence, and that's going to allow me to precisely dial this in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this scrap piece of MDF I've got here, and I know I can rip it to 5.5 the full length. So first thing I'm going to do is make that rip at 5.5, which is just going to give me a good straight board here. Okay, so now I got that ripped down to 5.5 inches. I've got my fence set at 5.5 inches. Now I'm going to advance it over. We need a piece that's 15/64, which is a 64 shy of 1/4. So I need to move my fence over 1/8 for the kerf of the blade plus 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to back it over about a 1/64 of an inch. So we're going to move it over 3/8 of an inch. Alright, so there's 3/8, and now I'm going to want to back it off a 1/64. I want to move it over a 1/64, which is going to leave me with just a little less than 1/4 over here. So I'll use the Incra knob here, and we'll back it off a 1/64 of an inch. And then, let's see, I want to be just shy of that, so we'll come back just a couple of ticks past a 1/64 of an inch. So it's going to be a little less than 15/64 here. Now we'll check our thickness. The digital caliper's out here. We want 2356, and we've got 2365. That is nearly perfect. I don't think I'm going to get any closer than that. If you make yours and it's just a hair oversized, it's a little too wide, you can take some sandpaper and sand it down a little bit. You can use hardwood, MDF, plywood, whatever works for you. So we'll take this over to the saw and cut a little piece off of it, and then we'll have our little spacer block. So I feel like this little trick here is worth the price of admission. I've got some Gorilla packing tape, and this stuff works fantastic. I tried a couple other packing tapes, and yeah, they were okay. This stuff's really sticky and really holds up, and it's got a good oily surface on it that glue is absolutely not going to stick on, and that is really handy. I kind of found that by accident, how useful that was going to be. So what we'll do is we'll go where our cuts are going to be made, and we're going to put packing tape over that area, and I'm going to go past the line. I'm going to go, the line's right here. I've got my packing tape over here. I want a good amount of clearance on this side of the line. Now I want to go all the way past that and overhang the edge too. This is going to do two things. This is going to help with any kind of tear out that we may encounter, and it actually is really handy to leave the little strips on there when you're doing your glue up, because all the squeeze out that we get from the gluing stays on top of that packing tape, and that is really nice. That's it, we're ready to kerf cut. So I've got the lines drawn on here for the kerf cuts. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of kerf cuts to make. So the first thing to do is to start on one of the start lines. The way the MFT is set up, I can do these two, and I have to flip the board around to do the other two. So I'm going to lower my track so it lines up with this start line on this set of kerf cuts. Notice I still do have the tape down. That's going to help prevent tear out. The TS55 does really good with tear out going cross grain, but since we're putting so many cuts so close together, those fibers are really short on those little pieces, so they tend to tear off. So the tape kind of helps to hold the fibers down so they don't tear up whenever we're making all those cross cuts. Also leave the tape on, and there's going to be little slivers of tape on all the pieces that get left, all the voids. And I leave that on there because whenever I bring this together and I glue it up, that tape covers the surface so I don't have so much squeeze out to deal with after I do my clamping. So we'll go ahead and get on one of the start cuts here. I'm just going to move this over until my rail is lined up with that cut. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the MFT flag stop. Put that right there. Now we need to set the height of the TS55 saw. And I want to leave the full surface on this side. I want to leave that whole piece of veneer alone, and then I only want to go about halfway through the one before that. This is Baltic birch, so it's got a lot of plies. I'm not exactly sure how many plies, but these plies are probably only maybe just over 1/16 of an inch, like 3/32 or something. So I'll set my track saw depth, And I think last time I was at 19 or 20. Let's see. Nope, that's not far enough. Maybe 21. Yeah, that's where I'm at on this saw. Definitely make a test cut before you cut into your piece. You don't want to set this thing too low. It's okay to cut and then nudge it down a little bit, which is probably what I'll go ahead and do. I'll go ahead and set this up a tick higher than I think it needs to be, and then I can lower it down one tick if I need to. So let's make our first cut. Alright, yeah, so I can definitely tell I need to be down another tick. So let's move down one and go again. Alright, so that's our first cut. Now we want to make sure we don't move anything. Now we take that spacer block that we made earlier, and this accounts for the thickness of the saw kerf plus the spacing between our cuts. So this is how far the fence needs to move. So what I'll do is I'll pull the flag stop out here, and I'm going to put this at the end of the plywood, and then I'm going to move my flag stop up against it, and then I'll pull it out. Get our saw off here, lift this up, and scoot our piece over until it engages the flag stop again. And we'll simply put our track down again and make our second cut. And there we'll see our spacing there. I think what was it, 5/30 seconds? I don't know, something like that. And I've got a little bit of tape over the top of it. My cut is clean as a whistle. There is zero tear out, which, you know, part of that is the TS55. Part of that is the tape. One thing I forgot to do, I just noticed some of the tape is peeled up here. That's my fault. So the TS55 comes with this little doodad. This isn't what I wanted. And if you're not familiar with what this little doodad is, go ahead and disconnect my power cable here. That helps prevent tear out on the waist side of your cut. So what we do is we go ahead and we put that on there temporarily. And then we'll put our track down here. And sit the saw up there. And what we want to do is we want to lower that down until it engages the workpiece, like so. And that's going to, basically the blade contacts this green piece as it's spinning, I think. I could be wrong on that. I think it does though. And that helps reduce tear out on the waist side of the cut. We need all the help we can get with preventing tear out on an operation like this. So let's go ahead and make our third cut. Alright, now you have it. It's all cut out here. Still got the tape on there, and the tape doesn't stay on the best, but I definitely think it's worth leaving that tape on there. Whenever you do the glue up, trust me, I already did one of these and it helped tremendously on cleanup once we were done. Now this is still pretty tough to bend. What I did whenever I was actually putting it in the forms, I took a spritzer bottle with water, and while I was trying to bend it, I wet this backside down, and then I took an iron and heated it up, and by the time I got it wet and then heated it up, I mean, this stuff bent really nice. All plywood's definitely going to be different, but that's what worked best for me. So about a ply and a half left on the edge, and I don't know if the camera will be able to pick up on this or not, but there's a lot of plies in this. So I hope that was informative for you guys. MFT and track saw, making straight curve cuts like this, super easy. You can do some crazy stuff if you wanted to move the angle on the MFT and like do some cross stuff, and you could probably make this thing twist up into a cone or something. It'd be pretty cool. But yeah, this is how I did it, and it works awesome. And I hope you guys enjoy, and hopefully you guys will find use for this.